Your resume never gets seen. You applied, wait, hear nothing. Why? Today's guest is a recruiter in the US who placed hundreds of professionals, and he knows exactly what's killing your chances. Stay tuned. I'm Anna Naumova, career advisor, coach, product manager, and entrepreneur. I spent 20 years in tech, including Apple, and now I'm based in the US helping professionals, immigrants build career and business here. Visit annanaumova.com to get started. Okay, my guest today is John Benjamin, founder and CEO of Sociable Society, the talent agency in the US. He spent over 12 years helping businesses hire and helping candidates land jobs. Hi, John.
Good morning, Anna. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. I'm doing wonderful.
Thanks for joining me today and happy to hear your perspective on this market.
Absolutely.
So, can you please tell me a little bit about yourself, what you're doing?
Yeah, so I'm John Benjamin, CEO of Sociable Society Talent. What we do is we help professionals to gain new opportunities in the workforce by representing them this in a sports agency style fashion. So instead of going and filling out a job application on your own, you can come to our agency and we bring the opportunities to you and negotiate your compensation package on your behalf.
That's interesting, yeah, because I see on your LinkedIn that you describe yourself as a sport agent for job seekers. Can you maybe
Correct.
tell more about that? So what this actually means in practice, and why does the traditional recruiting model
Absolutely.
fail candidates?
Yeah, so just to kind of go more into detail, like when we get candidates that sign with our agency, we represent them, right? So we typically ask for 30 days to be able to represent them. We typically get them placed within 21 days or less. So I'll use, for example, dentists, right? The dental job market is definitely oversaturated throughout the country, but there's a very high demand for dentists. So a dentist will they upload their resume on a job board like ZipRecruiter or Indeed, or even they apply through LinkedIn, and then they may or may not hear anything back. They sign with our agency. We still offer the traditional style. We just add a twist to it, which gives you a lot better chances of being able to get the type of opportunity that you want. So, just as an example, a dentist, they come, we negotiate their daily pay rate because they get paid a daily either percentage or daily flat fee. And then we negotiate that as well as a signing bonus. So signing bonuses can go up to $50,000, and we negotiate based on what the competitive market rates are for that particular jurisdiction.
And who
And then, so the second part to your question is why is, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. Like, I'm just trying to understand how this model works and who actually pays you for that placement. Uh, is it does a dentist pay you, or like the company who hire you?
So both sides. So the dentist in some cases they'll pay us, right? Like and they'll pay like either a monthly fee or just a flat fee. And that's really going to be based on maybe finding them a specific opportunity. So like if we already have an opportunity, then the hiring client would pay us. The candidate client would only pay us like if they're interviewing with through our agency, but they also had other opportunities that were previously set up, then they would pay us in order to guide them on how to negotiate to get the type of salary that they're looking for.
Hmm.
So like they would just pay us in case like they're looking to get like their LinkedIn done or their resume done over, or if they want us to come in and step in and give them the proper advisory for any other opportunities that they're interviewing for outside of our agency.
Perfect. So, and yeah, answering the second part of the question, why does the traditional recruiting model fail? Mhm.
Yeah, well, so the issue with the traditional recruiting model is that you get a bunch of candidates that come in as an influx, right? And you may not have enough time or put that particular candidate in the best position for a particular opportunity. So across the board, what they do is they really again they get a high volume of resumes, and then they don't have time to look through all of those resumes. So now you as a candidate, you're waiting in the wings to figure out like, hey, why is this recruiter not getting back to me? And it's really because the position has probably already been filled, or if they got 100 resumes, they really zeroed down on maybe like 10 applicants, and then those are the ones that they move forward with.
Yeah, we're gonna dig deeper into that, like, and I'll ask you definitely how that works. But before we go there, so tell me how is the market right now? So what we are seeing in 2026, and what's different from 2, 3 years ago?
Well, so what's a lot different between now and a few years ago is the fact that many companies, depending on the type of role that you're engaged in, many companies want you to work in office. So you got to remember, 3 years ago, because this is 2026, 3 years ago, we were still coming out of the pandemic. So that was, you were at a point where depending, if you're like an accountant or like, a lawyer, you were typically in the office prior to the pandemic. And then so companies were a lot more lenient when it came to that. The other thing is there's a lot more competition in many markets because there's a lot of relocation that's been taking place. So people are jumping up and they're moving from the Midwest to the East Coast, or they're moving from the East Coast to the West Coast, and it makes it so that the competition, like the competition, is at an all-time high.
And what the kind of connection between relocation and competition? How does relocation affects competition?
Oh, so great question. So you have people that are they're moving into markets that are like New York City, San Francisco, Los Angeles. You have people that are moving into those markets because they know that they can get paid more. So in smaller markets, you don't have to pay as much because of the this particular demographic that you're in. But when you go to places again like the largest cities, Miami, Atlanta, New York City, people are relocating there because they know that they can make more money, which is the whole objective, right? Like we get a lot of applicants that are moving literally from the Midwest, and they're moving to the larger markets because they want to be able to make more money. So we represent a lot of dentists and a lot of accountants, physical therapists, and depending on the kind of market that you're in, if you know that you can literally make an additional $50,000, that's a decision that you have to make for you and your family, and move from one city to another. So that definitely correlates to the competition in the job market.
You said dentist, accountant, and lawyers, right?
Yes, yep, and physical
That's you.
therapists. That's
That's you.
that's that's the core business model. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely can understand why dentists and physical therapists go on-site work right now. But like talking about
Mhm.
accountants and
Correct.
lawyers, why do they need to go to the office? Because they can do their job like remotely.
Well, it depends. I mean, because if you're looking for an opportunity where you can become a partner within the organization or you can move up, then those companies they're pretty much demanding that you be in the office.
Why?
They want to be able to see you. They want you to be able to interact with the team, and they want you to. You're typically client facing in those particular scenarios, right? Like lawyers and accountants are client facing. So the companies, they want you in the office, and at this point, because again, the pandemic is a thing of the past. Hiring managers, they want to be able to see you. They want to know that you're doing the work, and there are people that are a lot more productive when they are in the office versus working from home.
Do you feel that it's reasonable? Or like, I think you can control your employees remotely using some virtual tools like
Mhm.
tracking your hours or I don't know, like anything else, like tracking your emails, like task, or maybe it's better to be like even task oriented. If you reach your goal, you're like nice employee, or if you don't reach your goal, like something is wrong with you. So do you feel it's reasonable to push people back to the office?
I do think it's reasonable because there's a level of productivity that you can absolutely get out of having an employee that you can look them in their face, you can shake their hand, they're in the office. Some people have the personality where they need to be in the office. And then you have folks that they can work from home and they're very productive, right? But I say this all the time, it's an art to be able to work from home because you got a lot of distractions. You have the TV, you have the refrigerator, and you may have you may have children, you may have an animal, right? Like I see your cat running around up there on your
Oh
desk,
yeah.
right? So it's,
Definitely distraction.
like, so yeah, like in the office, you're gonna get like the maximum amount of productivity out of an employee by being able to see them and mentally them knowing that their boss or their manager is like right there, So and then again, like when it comes to elevation within a company, right? You you being in the office is going to directly correlate to if you're able to move up in that organization or not. Because again, the manager's able to see you. It's almost like
Elevation.
if you're not, if there are two employees, right? There's one that's working in the office and the other one's working from home. When it comes to a management position, the no-brainer person that you're gonna look at as a candidate for that position is the one that you see all the time.
Yeah, definitely agree about career growth here and that's point. So I'm really happy to go back to the office because when I'm home, I eat a lot of extra snacking. Yeah, go to the fridge. Yeah, that's like,
Mhm.
so I put on
Yep.
some few pounds just because I'm home
Mhm.
because I have easy access to my fridge. So
Exactly.
cool. Let's talk about some enemy called the ATS. I think everyone heard about ATS. That's like applicant tracking system. How much does it actually filter people out before recruiters see them? So what candidates should know about that?
So could you be more specific with your question in regards to the
So
ATS and the
yeah,
index?
yeah. People think that when they apply for the job, the first what they met is like ATS, and the ATS is a robot just filtering them out before even the recruiters see their resume. So, what do you think about it, and
Interesting.
what people can do with that? So, I know that a lot of job seekers feel that ATS is the enemy of the job seekers because recruiters cannot see their resume.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's what I've heard from like candidates' perspective. So tell me what's going on from recruiters'
Interesting.
perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, so it would really depend on the settings that you input, right? Like the ATS that I use is called Loxo. So Loxo doesn't filter anything out automatically. Like you actually have to go in and look at each candidate on a manual basis. And so our company, we get a lot of resumes from that standpoint. Now, I know that there are other platforms, other ATS systems that you can use, where if you have your settings put in a certain way where maybe it scans the resume, and you're looking for a certain amount of experience or a specific type of experience, whether again it's tenure or very specific details, it could completely push that candidate to the side and just automatically put them into the rejected folder.
Based on
Now,
what?
I
Based on
personally whatever qualifications that you put in. So if you were to put some qualifications in that let's say for tenure, right? Like they need to have at least 3 years of experience. If that candidate doesn't have at least 3 years of experience and your ATS picks it up, then they automatically go to the wayside. Now, I don't. So this. I want to make a distinguish. I want to distinguish something, right? So you have internal recruiters, and then you have third party recruiters. My agency, we're a third party recruiter, so a company would hire us in order to help them to hire new candidates and new employees, right? An internal recruiter, they're really trained to pretty much rule you out. And I think that's a huge problem, right? Because so let's say for Google, for example, they have an internal recruiting team, right? And of course, people are going to want to work for Google or like, we're just using them as the catalyst, right? Whatever a company is that has internal recruiters, they're desirable. So, a candidate may just go online and say, yes, I want to work for this company. They have a position I'm interested in, right? The if we're going to speak about enemies, there's two enemies then, right? You have the ATS system, and then you have the internal recruiter. The internal recruiter, they are typically, like I said, they're going to rule you out and automatically say, "Yep, you're not qualified." When in fact, you can actually be qualified. So, like with what I do, if I send a resume to a hiring manager, that's one of our clients. I have a conversation with like let's say they want to rule out that particular candidate. I don't allow them to do that.
so
You have to interview this person because yeah, we're not paper pushers. We're not just going to send you a bunch of resumes until you say, "Yeah, I like this one." We've already screened this person based on your job description. So, it's going to be advantageous for you to interview this person because we've already done the heavy lifting and the research and the screening. We've handled all of that stuff already, right? An internal recruiter, they could send a resume to the manager, and the manager says, "Yeah, no, this person's not qualified." So
Hmm.
it's two different kind of uh recruiting specialties, but with what I do, you're gonna want to interview the person because again, we've already done the research.
Mhm. So that's interesting. So it means that you have access to hiring managers, right? So
Yeah,
you avoid talking to internal recruiters, working with internal recruiters. You work directly with hiring managers. Is that
correct.
correct?
1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. Yeah, it doesn't make sense for us to work with the recruiter in most cases. Like in a vast amount of cases, it does not make sense for us to work with them because they look at us like, "Oh, you're gonna take my job," and it we're not we have the same common goal, but they may look at a third party recruiter as a threat because when we produce and we will produce, their manager could look at them and say, "What do we need you for?" To the internal recruiter, like, "What do we need you for?" When we just hired these other guys, they're a third party recruiter, but they're paying you $75,000 a year,
And why are they
and then
hiring
a piece
you?
of commission because their recruiting team is not producing. And they look at it like from the perspective of, well, hey, if we're getting the job done, right? Or we have an internal team, we can have them focus on other positions, and then we can hire sociable society talent to focus on this crucial position that we need filled now.
Interesting. Looks like some, I don't know, gap in the processes and like recruiting processes in the company. If they cannot fill the position using their own like internal recruiting team, and they need to invite third-party recruiters to do that because their internal team cannot do that like properly. So that's like for me, it's like some
Yeah,
something is broken in the processes.
yeah, 100%. Like one, you're paying your internal recruiter, you're paying them a salary. So it's easy for the internal recruiter to just get fat and happy. Like they could still hit their quota and still not have a bunch of positions filled. Whereas us, we're working off of a basis of we get paid once you hire through our agency. It's called a contingency agreement.
Hmm.
So that's
So
the that's the big difference.
yeah, yeah. So it means that for me, so candidates have to have a good relationship with third-party recruiters, right?
1,000,000%.
Yeah, because what I've also
1,000,000.
heard from the candidate's perspective, why do I need to go to the agency? Because I can apply directly to the company's website and like stay in touch with the recruiters, internal recruiters. Yeah. And you told me like it might be the opposite. Just be friends with agencies, get all
Yep.
of that. So, yeah. Is that
Yeah,
correct
you want
assumption?
to you want absolutely. So you want to have a good relationship with a third party recruiter. Internal recruiters, I mean, it's good to have obviously relationships, everything. Networking is everything, right? But a third party recruiter is going to be different from an internal one. The internal one is only going to get you jobs within their organization. That's all they can help you with. Whereas my agency and third party recruiting agencies, we can help you to get opportunities that you don't even know are available.
And actually, tell me about these
You
opportunities. I've
know,
heard a lot that a lot of job postings are not even like on job boards. So, and they like companies hire through the recruiters. Tell me about that also. Is it the end of 2024, 2026? Sorry.
so companies, I mean, it's always good. Like that's what cold calling is good for, right? Like you can reach out to a company. They may not even have a job listing online, but they're hiring. And some companies are like industries are always hiring. Like accountants are always hiring. Law firms are always hiring. And dental offices are always hiring, which is why we have a focus on those industries. Um, so again, the problem with a job board is they might not be manned, meaning if someone like if a company, depending on how large the company is, if they have a job listing on ZipRecruiter, then they have one on Indeed, they have one on Monster.com, they have one on LinkedIn, then they may not be focused on monitoring all of those different platforms. So you like through ZipRecruiter, you may get 100 resumes for your role, right? Most recruiters are not going to go through every single profile. They're just not going to do it because their focus is on filling the role. And if let's say the first 5 to 10 resumes are what they're looking for, the other 90 I mean, it's nice to have. We'll keep them on file, but within those the first 10 resumes, almost 10 times out of 10, we probably hired someone, or
Mhm.
we have at least a couple of finalists that we're going to make offers to.
Mhm. But what I can see is that candidates go to, like, for example, ZipRecruiters, find
Yep.
the job posting and go to the company's website, career website, and apply directly from the company's website.
Mhm.
So, in order to be sure that their resumes are viewed by recruiter or ATS.
I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, something to do with connection. So I mean that what candidates see from the what I can see from the candidate's perspective,
Mhm.
that they found the job posting on LinkedIn, for example, or ZipRecruiter,
Yep.
go directly to the company's website, career website, and apply from there to be sure that their resumes are viewed.
Thing to do. Yeah, I mean it's advantageous to do both. But theoretically, if you fill out an application on a job board, someone should be getting back in touch with you. But not the majority of the reason why they're not getting back in touch with you is again, they've already went and set up a bunch of interviews. Like, I mean, we post jobs on different job boards, and you can literally get hundreds of resumes for the same position. But the difference between again the inside recruiter versus the third party recruiter is the inside recruiter, they're only providing you with opportunities internal that they have at that organization. With us, we can get a bunch of resumes and then we can submit your profile for the position that you applied for, but then we could also present other opportunities to you as well,
So,
whether
but
it's for relocation or it's local.
mhm. So, but coming back to that job listing that are not actually
Over.
listed, yeah, yeah, on the career website or somewhere, it's called like backdoor hiring. Is that correct? Yeah, definition. I've heard about that, like backdoor hiring. Yeah.
It's an off market. Well, that's a different thing we can get into. But a backdoor hire is when a company they hire a third party recruiting agency and then they interview a certain amount of multiple candidates, and then they choose to make an offer to someone without paying the recruiter. That's what's considered a backdoor hire. But
Oh.
what you're referring to as far as yeah, like I said, we can talk about that too. We when it comes to the job boards, right, and opportunities that it's called an off-market opportunity,
Mm-hmm.
where it's not listed on the job board, but the company is hiring. That's what that would be called.
Mm-hmm. How's popular that the way of hiring? How's it popular right now in 2026? Is it the uh, is it new way of hiring right now, or like
What do you mean?
is it like did it exist for a while, this type of hiring like off market opportunity, or is it has it become a trend in 2026 right now because of like a lot of applications per position?
It's a trend, but I would definitely say that it's another way of going about things, right? Like, again, using dentists, for example, right? They can walk into an office, right? Like this is I would say a trend is a professional actually in whatever field, they actually go to the company physically and they see if there's any opportunities there. Like dentists do that a lot. Dentists do that and accountants do that. So instead of going online and filling out applications and kind of figuring out like, hey, well, when are you going to get back to me? They're going into the physical location of that particular company and they're saying, hey, I'm Dr. John Benjamin. I'm a prosthodontist. I'm wondering if you guys have any opportunities. And then so if you walk off the street, you actually have a better chance of getting employment, even if it's on a contractual basis.
I see, I see. Okay, so let's talk about mistakes. What are the biggest mistakes candidates make in their resumes right now?
Wow. Gaps. So working gaps, right? Like if you with no explanation, right? So if you have a gap of a year or 6 months and off, uh, where you took off work, or maybe for whatever reason you were working, but you didn't include that on the job listing, or I'm sorry, on your resume, that's a red flag. It's automatically a red flag. And um, so you have that portion. And then another thing too is if you work at companies for short stints. So I
How
wouldn't say
much?
it's a mistake on their resume. I'm sorry, what was that?
How much short is it? How many years or months? What was short term in your perspective?
Yeah, sure. Oh, got you. So yeah, a short stint is a nowadays less than a year, but I mean, there are still companies that will, hiring managers that'll say, well, they worked at this company for a year and a half, and then they went somewhere else, and they worked there a year and a half, and they're over here for 2 years. They look at you as a job hopper, which is it's definitely a negative connotation, and it's something that would make it so that you don't get a phone call back. Like we hear that all the time. Like we may pass a resume over to a hiring manager and they say, "Oh, we don't want to interview this person because they're a job hopper. Like they just they don't stay. We want someone that's here, or staying at an organization for 5 years or more." You can't control that, especially someone early in their career. They have to be able to test out different opportunities to see what it is that they like and what they don't like in order to create the path for longevity. But yeah, so those two things, like if you have gaps and you have no explanation, right? Like it's always great to include some kind of cover letter, or at least a summary, your executive summary at the top of your resume. You wanna be able to explain what's going on in your resume. But a way to actually circumvent gaps is you can actually place everything into one section and just essentially say that you were contracted at different organizations, various organizations, and to summarize it. Because another mistake that people make is having too many pages on their resume.
Too many
So like
pages
three
is
pages
how
is too
many?
much.
Three pages.
Two, that's solid.
Two
I would say
solid
three
and
pages or more is too
okay.
much. Like you
Okay.
want to be able to summarize things.
Yeah, because I've heard that only one page is a good standard, but you said about like two pages
Mhm.
is fine, but three pages is too much. Yeah.
Yeah. Two,
Okay.
yeah, 3 pages is too much. I mean, because at the end of the day, they want the general gist that you're the right person, the right type of applicant. And that can be displayed in 2 pages or less.
So I'm just really thinking what to do with those people who have gaps. And what I see right now, because of the market is very tough, especially in tech, people have these gaps. Like they're looking for a job for a year or even more,
Yes.
and that's why they have this gap. Not because they just do nothing. They're just trying to find a job, but there is like no offers for them. So what can they do with that?
With in respect to the gap or in respect to what specific? The gap. I mean, you like I said in your executive summary, you could just say, hey, like you were looking for an employment because any body that's a hiring manager that has even a mild understanding of today's market, you're gonna know that it's hard for people to get jobs, which is why like during the pandemic, people were really starting their own organizations. They started making their own companies as a result of not being able to find a job. I saw one guy's, and this is one of many, but this one particular guy on LinkedIn, he applied for 297 jobs. He only heard back, like, got an email response from 18. And out of that, he only materialized 4 interviews. And he didn't get hired from any of those companies.
Yeah, and that's
So
the reality of the current market.
that,
That's
correct. So, in that kind of respect, I mean, you really need to pick up some skills, some new additional skills. Or I would always recommend getting into sales. Companies always need salespeople. So if you're having a hard time gaining employment in your field and your experience is I don't know, you're a director somewhere, or like the chief technology officer, get into technical sales
that's a good pivot. Yeah,
or
I've heard
a
about
level seller
it.
sometimes.
But sometimes, like when you apply for a sales job, they require experience, like at least like I don't know, 1 or 2 year sales. Like, what to do with that?
Well, it depends on the company, right? Like there's a lot of different types of companies that you can apply for. Um, some companies they're hiring like if you have the technical experience, they'll hire you strictly based off that. There's also companies that will hire, on an entry level basis. So it you really have to kind of pick and choose. And Obviously, people they have to do a lot more picking than choosing, um, because of the environment that we're in, right? So it's just like, all right, hey, apply for these different roles. Um, you express your experience and whatever technical skills that you have and how it would be relevant for you to get into sales. Companies always are looking to hire salespeople. And so your background doesn't, it really doesn't matter. Like there were, I worked with guys that were lawyers and accountants that obviously you got a law degree, you have a certification and masters in taxation, you have a CPA, but they're sitting right next to me inside a cubicle, you know? So sales is an industry or a position where you can double your salary. So if you walk in with a salary that's 50,000 or 75,000, your commission allows you to double your base.
And talking about your that lawyer, this example, is it the permanent switch or is like a temporary while he was looking for a job?
It was a temporary thing that ended up being permanent because he got into sales. He ended up being really good at the sell that at our offer, and he excelled. Right, the same thing with the accountant actually. He was doing okay as well, and then he actually got into a different kind of sale. Right, like as a salesperson, you or professional, you have to figure out what your sale is. Right, like if technical sales wasn't my thing. I worked at companies where I did okay, but when I got into the SaaS space, that's really where I excelled.
Hmm. Yeah, I really I wanted to break into sales by myself, and what I've seen at
Mhm.
the entry level sales is a lot of cold calls. Is it all
Yep.
sales should start with that? Like, can you avoid that? Because I can assume that nobody likes cold calls.
Well, you can't avoid cold calling. You can't. It's like because again, like it's comparable to what we were discussing earlier about off-market jobs, right? So if you're reaching out to a company, they may fit your hiring profile. I mean, not hiring profile, but your prospect profile of who it is that you want to sell to. And the only way that you're going to know if they're in the market for the services that you offer is if you pick up the phone and give them a call. Like, I don't know of any companies that offer like a straight inbound lead system where you can just walk in, you don't have to make any cold call. I don't know any companies like that. If they're available, more power to them. And if they are, they're probably very high tech kind of companies that have people reaching out to them. Like, for example, Google. Um, they're the type of company that's going to get a bunch of inbound leads because everyone knows who Google is. So really, there's a direct correlation between how popular and how well known your company is, how much of a household name that your company is, as far as being able to get a higher level of inbound leads for a sales position.
Okay, yeah, let's pick up the phone and start doing cold calls. So,
Exactly.
yeah, what about LinkedIn? Some experts say that LinkedIn has become more important than your resume. What do you think?
Well, I can agree with that because for one, your resume it gets cross-referenced with your LinkedIn, 1,000,000%. The other thing too is why LinkedIn is important is um, if I go connect with you on LinkedIn, I can see other people that you're connected to. And if we have some of the same people that are in our network, then I can ask about you as an employer. So it's essentially a way where an employer can they can essentially do a background check with
So that
anyone that both of you are consumers.
Mhm. So, does it mean that you check the candidate's LinkedIn every time you got their resumes? Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and most of the time now, so a trend in 2026 is that, um, especially for a digital resume, candidates will typically have their LinkedIn profile URL on their resume. So you can just click it and then you can check their LinkedIn profile. Yeah, so we get a lot of candidates that, for one, it's a prerequisite for us. Like we want you to like send like if I have a job listing out there, I want you to not only send your resume but send your LinkedIn profile, especially for the inbound candidates that we get. We get a lot of those every single day. I tell them to actually add me on LinkedIn. Like that's part of the interview process because I want to be able to see who you are and I want to see who, who we're connected with.
So if the candidate doesn't have LinkedIn or it's not shown on their resume, what do you do?
It's definitely it's that's a pretty common thing, right? Like certain industries, like again, I have to use dentists for the example, a lot of them are not actually uh, active on LinkedIn. Like you want them to connect with you, for one, to grow your network, and then for two, again, to be able to connect with or find out like other people that they're actually connected with. And then the other thing is it's standard. I mean, this is 2026, right? So having a LinkedIn page and actually being active on it is that's a way for you to be able to get jobs. It's a way for you to obviously see digitally like who's in your network, stay in touch with them, and then also there's a lot of different job postings and so you have job postings and then you just have regular posts that keep you updated with what's going on in the professional realms. So being on LinkedIn is definitely, it's a social media platform, but you're just going to get a lot more information in regards to the job market, companies that are hiring, companies that are doing major layoffs, and it's a way for you to stay in the know. I mean, obviously, you still have your traditional job boards, but a job board is exactly what it is. It's just a board, right? So you're not going to know exactly who it is that, like being able to stay up on the trends and everything. You're not going to be able to do that.
Is it a red flag for you if the candidate does not have LinkedIn?
Depending on their title. Like if you're a lawyer and you don't have a LinkedIn, that's I mean, it's definitely questionable. A dentist, not so much, but a lawyer or an accountant, I would definitely expect them to have a LinkedIn page.
So you mean like office worker? If the candidate is an office worker, like accountant, lawyer, or tech professional who work in front of the computer, that's a red
Yes.
flag. If that's like a physical therapist or like dentist who work like a frontline worker, it's not a red flag. Is that correct?
No, correct. Yeah, it's if they're a frontline worker, it's just not so much because of the way that they get jobs. Like even nurses, right? Like nurses typically go through staffing agencies, which is different from recruiting. So the nurses they actually work for the staffing agency. The staffing agency pays them, whereas with a recruiting agency like us that does permanent placements, our hiring clients pay them their salary. But so like a nurse, I wouldn't expect a nurse to be on LinkedIn. Like if she's on LinkedIn, great. Um, but it also depends on the title. If she's like a nurse practitioner, which is essentially they're very high up and they're underneath, they're one step away from being a doctor. Like they can write prescriptions and all that kind of stuff. I would expect a nurse practitioner to be on LinkedIn. But if someone's like a LPN or RN and they're not up there, or a physical therapist or a dentist, it's not surprising.
Okay, so you've interviewed thousands of profiles. What makes a candidate instantly stand out versus instantly get skipped?
I would say a well-written resume, just a well-rounded resume with that details their actual experience. Like if you are a tech professional, let's say you do cybersecurity, I'm gonna expect for you to have all of those minute details inside your executive summary and throughout your whole entire resume. Because the first step in an interview is your resume. They say don't judge a book by its cover, but you're judged by the book, and your cover is your resume. So, yeah, well-written resume, even a resume with a picture on it of yourself. That's something that's also going to stand out. So a combination of just well-written, very detailed, um, meticulous details, and then a picture, that's going to make you stand out automatically.
A picture on the resume, you mean like photo?
Yeah, a photo of themselves.
Oh, interesting, because I've heard that it's not like appropriate to add photo on your resume, and like American resume should avoid photo. And you tell me the opposite. How that?
Yeah, what's going to make you stand out, definitely a photo. It's definitely a lot more common. I think it's become more common over the last 2 years. So since about 2024, it's definitely gotten a lot more popular.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I
one
haven't
day.
heard about it. Yeah,
Mhm.
why it has become popular?
Well, it's people they're looking for opportunity, they're looking for employment, they're looking for ways to stand out. Another thing that you'll see that's very common with lawyers, accountants, and dentists is they'll have a link to their Google reviews on their digital resume. That's going to make you stand out in a major way.
But I didn't
You know, hey,
understand
check out my
why.
reviews. And so,
Yeah. So, but I didn't understand why photo in the resume became more and more popular since 2024. What changed since that time?
opportunities and people wanting to be able to stand out, right? Like you have to do different things in order to stand out because once you send your resume in, you know you can't force someone to pick up, a hiring manager to pick up the phone and give you a call. So people are looking for these innovative ways in order to start standing out so that they're getting more calls back from their resumes as opposed to just sending their resume out willy-nilly. You know what I mean? Like they
Hmm.
want to be able to stand out. They want you to say, hey, this is me. I want you to give me a call. I'm interested in your employment opportunity. So they're putting pictures on their resumes of themselves, and then they're also putting links to their reviews online.
That's interesting. So I've heard that the reason why the photo was like removed from the resume because of discrimination and like to avoid that biases that hiring managers or recruiters make their decision based on the your photo. How does that work right now?
Well, I mean, if somebody's attractive, they're probably going to get a call back. Let's just call it for what it is. So I mean, you have that, but again, like there's a downside to it, right? Like exactly what you just said. Someone can say, "Oh, that's a woman. We don't want to hire a woman," or they can say, "He's a man. We don't want to hire a man," right? Like it. They can go off your skin color. Hey, that's a black man. We don't want to hire that person. So is it something that has its positives and negatives like anything? Absolutely. But I think that it's something that again it's going to help you to stand out. But yeah, I mean the equal. So over here in the U.S. we have something called equal opportunity of employment, right? I don't think that the rules are abided by. I really don't. I've personally experienced it with clients, that that we might have had some candidates that are older, so what we had to start doing was removing the age, like removing like the year that a candidate went to college. We had to start removing that because they're qualified, and then the hiring manager's like, yeah, I just don't, we don't think this person's the right fit, and then they won't really get into the granular details. But we know, like if this candidate is 60 years old, you probably don't want to hire them because you don't look at them as someone that's going to be a long-term option for your company. But they're qualified, right? Like based off your job description, this person is absolutely qualified. But yeah, we definitely experienced that before, where the company they don't want to interview or hire a candidate because of their age.
Hmm. And talking about age, like what do you mean? Like how many years do you mean? Like 60 plus or like earlier?
60 years, 60 plus. Yeah.
60
They
plus.
have a hard time securing opportunities for sure. Like we have presented candidates that were more mature candidates, and they didn't get the opportunity. It was clear that it was because of their age, even though it wasn't disclosed by the hiring manager.
Yeah, yeah, unfortunately. So
Mhm.
cover letter, yes or no in 2026?
I would say yes. I mean, because it's a the majority of resumes that we get don't include a cover letter. So if you do have a cover letter, it's, explaining specifically like why you want that job or what you're looking for at this point in your career. It definitely can help. It can help. Like it's definitely a positive thing. It's not something that's going to get looked at in a negative manner. And then it's also one of those things, like I said, it's more rare nowadays. So when you submit your cover letter and your resume, and then you have all those other things that I mentioned, like the photo, your like and any reviews that you have online, um, you're going to get looked at as an upper echelon candidate.
What should be in this cover letter to stand out? Because what I've seen that people just use AI generated cover letter. It's a lot of I don't know, like generic information, some cliche. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I think that you want to always want to speak about long term. So when you're interviewing for a company, they say, "Hey, what are you looking for?" Well, I'm looking for upward mobility. I'm looking for longevity. Like, you really have to tell the hiring manager exactly what it is they want to hear, and they want to hear that you're going to be with the organization for a long time. And you're not looking at the hop, you're looking for your next home, you're looking for your dream opportunity. And so when you disclose that on a cover letter, and then you follow up once you get the interview, and you follow up with that inside the interview, you're gonna stand out. You're gonna get looked at on a completely different level, and you're gonna get looked at as someone that's not just looking for a job, but you're looking for a career opportunity.
Okay. Should it be like cover letter? Should it be personal or can it be AI generated? What do you think about it?
I mean, you could definitely do both, but you have to, if you're going to use Chat GPT, or any kind of AI, you have to tell it exactly what it is that you want to disclose and what you want to be exemplified on your cover letter. So it's either that or you just write it out. Because with the amount of details that you can put into like AI and ChatGPT, you might as well just write out the cover letter. But just be clear that you're looking for longevity, you're looking for your dream opportunity, and the next place that you're looking to be at, you want to be there for several years. That's what employers want to hear.
Just use the good prompt to create your cover letter with ChatGPT. Okay. Gotcha.
Exactly.
Gotcha. So, my next question about the reaching out directly to recruiters and hiring managers on LinkedIn. That's the advice I've heard all the time. Does it actually work in 2026?
Mhm.
And what's the right way to do that, not to be annoying?
So, yeah, so like it depends on the type of company, right? It depends on the size of the organization, right? Like if it's a smaller company, let's say, because like we have like our agency, we focus on like small to mid-sized companies. And so they can have like I'd say like 10 to 75 employees. And so with that, you can reach out directly to the owner, being that that's kind of our particular niche. Now, if you want to, like, if it's a larger organization, you could always reach out to a technical recruiter, or the recruiting department, someone in the recruiting department or human resources. So you could definitely do that. I think you just got to be straightforward and honest. Like I'm a very get to the point type of person. So I would expect that a recruiter's, I mean, if you're reaching out to an internal recruiter, they're gonna know why you're reaching out. People don't just reach out to recruiters for no reason. They're looking for a job, and they're looking to get into the fast lane and expedite the process. So I think you just, again, you got to be straightforward. In order to not be annoying, I mean, I think you pretty much just gotta, like I said, be direct. And if they set up an interview with you after, you reach out, like if you have to reach back out to them, they're probably not interested in interviewing you. They don't look at you as someone that's qualified. So I would say reach out once, maybe twice. After twice, just kind of drop it, because if you were qualified, they would be running to you after you reach out to them to set up an interview.
Being direct, what exactly should it be in the message?
Yeah, good question. So, hi, my name is John Benjamin. Reaching out to you because I saw that your company is looking to hire an accountant. I have X amount of years of experience. I have a CPA, and I'm wondering what I if there's anything else that you would need from me in order to set up an interview. Just be very direct. Let them know that you have the experience, and which is why it would be important for you to have your LinkedIn profile set up accordingly. So your LinkedIn is the first level of representation of yourself. So fill it out. Make sure that it has the detail that your resume would have anyway, and reach out to the recruiter.
Yeah, this is a good advice. How many cold outreach do you have, like per day or per week?
If you're going to reach out to a recruiter, it depends on your position, right? Like if you're obviously there's different types of job searches, right? So you have people that are passive. If an opportunity comes across their desk, they'll listen, but they're in a comfortable position. And then you have people that just got fired, or they just got laid off, right? So you have those people, and then you have people that are currently employed, but they're looking for a new opportunity. So they're actively searching, but they are still employed. So it just really depends on your position. People that don't have a job, meaning they don't have any income coming in, they maybe just got laid off, they can come across as desperate. So you really have to monitor and be self-aware of how it is that you're communicating with recruiters and hiring managers.
Talking about being desperate, that the myth I've heard from the immigrants that
Mhm.
putting that open to work green beige on the resume or on LinkedIn
Yeah.
makes you look desperate. What do you think about it?
I don't think that makes you look desperate at all. I mean, there's a reason why it's a feature on LinkedIn, right? Like so recruiters will reach out to you and say, "Hey, I have an opportunity, I'd like to discuss with you," right? Like otherwise, how do we know who's, if you're open to work or not? Because if that's the case, everyone can be passive. They can be a passive candidate. So you want to just pretty much reach out, to LinkedIn, turn that switch on, or do it on your own. This way, you can get opportunities that are available out there. So I don't think it makes you look desperate at all. What makes you look desperate is if after the interview process, like so if you interview and then you have to keep following up with that recruiter or the hiring manager, that makes you look desperate.
Mhm.
It makes you look really desperate. And because if they wanted to make you an offer or bring you into the next step of the interviewing process, they would have done it already.
Yeah, yeah. So what I've heard that people put like open to work, but like visible only for those who use LinkedIn Recruiter, like just a transparent open to work.
Mhm.
But this specific
Yeah.
green badge is kind of feels desperate. So
Yeah, I don't think it does. I mean, I think it's again like it's a common functionality of LinkedIn, and it puts you in a position where hiring managers know that you're open to a new opportunity. Because think about it, right? Like a hiring manager they're gonna post a job on LinkedIn anyway, and jobs are created for people to apply for. So you can put, your job posting on LinkedIn, you get hundreds of applicants or dozens of applicants. The other way to do it would be looking to see if there's anyone that's listed as open to work.
yeah, yeah, I agree with you. I think like showing that you are open to work, like it actually for recruiters even better because recruiters also wants to close that deal like as fast as possible,
Right.
and it's better to probably put someone who's already like ready to start working than someone who's just like thinking, like not confident about their decision and yada yada. So I think it's a good
Mhm.
way. I try to explain people I know that no, guys, that's not like a desperate sign. Like it's the sign shows that you're really
Right.
open to work. You're looking for new opportunities.
Yeah. An
Cool.
opportunity.
Yeah, let's talk about AI generated resumes. AI tools make it easy to create very neat, cool resume that sometimes looks similar, like the same to other resumes. So, what do you think about it?
Yeah, so I think AI is here for a reason, right? Like, you could type something into AI, the chat GPT, and say, hey, here's my resume, right? Like here's what I would do, right? I would put all of the context inside of LinkedIn from my direct resume. And then I'll say, enhance my resume to make it a top 3% sales executive resume that is going to wow a hiring manager. And then I will put quotations at the beginning of the resume and at the end of the resume. And then it's going to produce you something that is again like a top, like exactly what hiring managers want to see. I think it's definitely advantageous for you to use um, AI in order to get a better idea of what it is that your resume should actually look like. 1,000,000%.
Yeah, but then you start speaking with those candidates who just enhance their resume with this specific prompt to be like top one candidates. And then you feel that no, you're not as cool as your resume shows. So, like, what do you do with that?
Well, yeah. So I think another thing is if you're gonna use AI, right? Then you go back to AI and you say, you can type in a prompt where you can ask it, what are some things that you should be saying during the interview process to reflect your experience in the resume my experience in the resume you just gave me, right? So some people, they perform at the job really well, but they may not interview very well. And some people interview very well, but they don't perform very well at the job. So I, I think that's why it's important for companies to use a third party recruiter or an executive coach or like an interview coach. This way you can role play and you know what it is that you need to be saying to reflect your experience, right? Like if you pop out an amazing resume and then you just don't interview well, it's not a good reflection on you as a person for one, and then for two, it if you if your resume is written as well as it's written, and then you're not able to speak like what your resume is displaying, that's a clear sign that you use Chat GPT.
Okay, so be ready for your next round of the interview. Like create your resume and be ready to speak about it with recruiter.
Speak
Okay,
properly, yeah, correct.
yeah, let's talk about other AI tools that makes application easier to apply to hundreds of jobs in one click. So, how's company responding, or you how's it responding on that like bulk application?
I mean, they wouldn't know, right? Because if company A and company B, obviously they're competing with one another, they're not going to know what resumes that you received. Versus like company B is not going to know what company A received, and company A is not going to know what company B received. So, I think it's important for you to use those kind of tools because it's a tough market as it is. So, being that it's a tough market, you want to be able to apply to as many jobs as possible that are relevant to what it is that you're looking for, the type of employment that you're looking for. So I think it's definitely something that you need to incorporate so you can, obviously people have bills to pay, they have kids to feed, they have, expenses. So the more opportunities that you apply for, the better. However, I think it's also important for you to be very specific about those jobs and be intentional to make sure that you're applying for roles that are up your alley, right? Because and then again, knowing those industries, right? Like I've had people that applied to work for my agency and do business development. And one of the common things that I've heard is that, oh, they just been I just been sending out a bunch of I've been applying left and right. I've been sending my resume out left and right. It's like it doesn't sound like you're intentional. And then you also sound desperate as well, So you is so long as you're applying in different settings that are relevant to your resume, it's going to make you sound intentional when you're speaking to a hiring manager.
Applying left and right. So, what does it mean?
Applying left and right meaning they're applying for a bunch of different jobs.
You mean not
Like
look for
they're literally
positions?
just trying to get a job.
Okay,
Yeah,
so they applying with like, for example, business development resume to, I don't know, like any other positions. I don't know, a recruiter.
anybody.
Like
Yeah, they right. I just need a job. Essentially, what they're saying is, I just need a job now.
any job. Okay.
That's what they're saying. Yeah, I just need any job right now.
Gotcha, gotcha. So, and you like, for example, you have an agency and you have some job postings, and when you see people applies for your jobs, like the same person applies for your jobs, like again and again. So, how does it
Mhm.
feel from your side?
If they keep applying, I mean, there's two ways to look at it, two different perspectives. One is that they're hungry for this opportunity. The other thing is they they could not even realize that they're applying for the same company and they just need a job. You know what I mean? So it you kind of the only way to really tell is by speaking with them, like having a conversation. And so I've had different people that have wowed me in interviews, and then I've had folks that um just essentially you could tell that they just need a job and they're frustrated because they don't have a job. And it shows up in their communication during the interview process.
What do you do with those people who just need a job and like desperately need a job?
Yeah, those kind of people, I don't tend to gel very well with those kind of people because I can see that they're just only looking for a situation for right now. They're not looking for anything long term. And if you hire them, they probably will be on for very short periods of time. Like I've hired people like that in the past, and they typically don't even last a couple weeks because they're just looking for the next best, greatest opportunity that they view for that moment. And then once that moment is over, they're they disappear.
Yeah, that's a good point that desperate, like people who are looking for the jobs desperately are just not staying for a long time. So that's why they probably reject it all the
Right.
time because it's not like kind of the best way for companies to hire this person. Cool. So you offer candidate profiling, personality, cognitive style, culture fit. Are US
Yep.
companies actually paying attention on this, or is still like mostly resume and interviews?
So they pay attention to it, but a lot of the times it ends up biting them in the behind because they don't typically test for those things up front, right? And they down the line they'll say they hired someone, they end up being a bad hire, and they just weren't the culture fit. So when we ask them, hey, do you normally test for these things? 9 times out of 10 they don't, and then they also don't even do exit interviews. So you should be testing someone to see the type of how they think, how they work within a team and collaboration environment, and then you should also be interviewing your current employees because what'll that'll do is it puts you in a position to always know if you have how happy people are for one, and then for two, if someone is potentially a flight risk, meaning that they could end up exiting your company at some point in the near future. And then also an exit interview is important too, because if someone could be leaving, you need to know why they're leaving. You have to have a understanding. Is it money? Is it they're just not happy, with the culture there? They're not happy with the leadership. They were looking for upward mobility and you didn't provide that for them as of yet. That's how you can get a lot of saves. So like companies nowadays, right? Like in the accounting field, people are leaving to go get more pay. And if you can have a conversation with them because they've been working with you for a couple years, or however long they've been working with you, and if you can have a conversation with them about their current salary, the salary that they're on pace to get at the other company, and if you offer them that same salary, would they stay? That answers a lot of your questions. That means they're happy with the environment. They're not happy with the pay. And so if you offer their salary is currently 100,000, and then the salary that the other company is offering them is 130. There's two ways. They can either say yes, if you offer me 130, I'll take it, or they can say, well, now all of a sudden, you're willing to offer me 130. Why? And it could be a turn off, but it's a risk that you have to. I think it's a risk that you definitely have to take, and it's a calculated one because again, you're gonna get a clear understanding as to the reason why they're leaving and if they're happy at your company other than the pay.
Yeah, but like coming back to the hiring, does it really help to hire proper people, like doing all those tests, and vice versa for the candidates to doing all that behavioral tests? Is it a good way for them to be hired? How that works?
Yeah, I think it's important because you need to know how someone's gonna fit within your work environment, right? Like I worked for a company in the past and they had a hiring profile that was tremendous. Um they hired the same type of people. And you knew it was a really good environment because people ended up getting married. There were people that met there that ended up becoming roommates. There were people that ended up, just do the best of friends, opening businesses together, all of that kind of stuff. So as when I saw that, it really made, my experience, like actually being part of that, it helped me to understand that there are companies that have hiring profiles that work well for them in their specific type of environment.
And it looks like it's really good for the long-term goals for the company to hire like specific people and being sure that they are not like they're not gonna leave in like few weeks or like few months, right? So,
Right, for sure. Because if you're hiring people and they're like roommates or they're friends, and it's an easy way to get referrals. Like I saw the recruiting team there do extremely well because they would recruit someone, that person gets hired, then they're like, hey, do you know anyone else that would, that's looking for an opportunity? And they're like, yeah, actually I have a roommate that's open to a new opportunity. So I've seen a lot of roommates that were, pre-existing already that would, that they got brought into the organization and, it was as a result of being a referral.
cool,
But
cool.
they fit the climate.
Yeah. So interviews. What interview mistakes are most common from your point of view, and what kills an offer at the last moment?
Wow. So the mistakes would be just not expressing what's written on your resume and your LinkedIn. So you definitely want to make it so that your LinkedIn and your resume are literally in sync. They're going to be looking at dates. They're going to be looking at company names, all that kind of stuff. And then also showing a lack of interest, right? Like it's important to be enthusiastic about the opportunity and speaking about it as, you know, from a place of what you bring to the table and how the company offering matches your experience. So I think it's important to just make sure that you know, your communication level, your enthusiasm, your charisma is shown when you're in the office interviewing or you might be on a Zoom. Just making sure that you're letting them know that you look at the opportunity as something that you actually want to work with. Like I had a guy, he's a dentist, and he was interviewing at one of my hiring clients' offices, and when I got the response back, um, he they said he didn't come in and like really greet the front desk people. So you had them, they felt slighted. And then when he was interviewing and he got to the money part, he got frustrated. So that hiring manager did not move forward with him as at
Why
any further steps.
why was he frustrated about money when talking about money?
I think for him, it was just like he believes his level of experience. With his level of experience, he believes that he should be getting paid a lot more based on his specialty because he's a prosthodontist, and then also just the fact that he has all the years of schooling and he has these different certifications. So he doesn't believe that he should be paid, you know, at a base model. Like, you know, he feels like his compensation should be um, up there with the top tier professionals, like the top 1% of prosthodontists. I can't disagree with him, but I do think that in terms of his communication style, he's very, very direct, very straightforward. And if he's frustrated, you're gonna know. But that is something where you have to watch it in an interview because you're interviewing for an opportunity, and then it's going to show whether or not you're someone that has positive ways of communicating when it's an uncomfortable scenario because this is going to come up like at some point, no matter who it is you're working with, there's going to be points where both of you may not be happy with one another or you may not be
Yeah.
happy with the work environment, and your way of communicating during the interview is gonna give me uh, a predetermination of how you could potentially operate down the line if we actually employ you.
Yeah, cool. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I had this situation when I was asked about money. It was really not money I wanted to get, and it was like all frustration were was in my
Mhm.
face.
Mhm.
I tried to hide it, but
Right.
it wasn't possible.
Yeah.
Definitely, I didn't get a job like for that. Probably for that reason, I might not be like a very confident candidate and stay for long with this company. And when I got a better job, I'll definitely drop off from this opportunity, like and go to another job.
Exactly.
So yeah, yeah, cool. So we have a few more questions. What types
Sure.
of candidates are getting hired right now, and who is struggling the most?
I think the candidates that are getting the jobs they're going into markets where there's a huge demand, like for that particular role. So, like for example, um, Charlottesville, Virginia, specifically, they have there's a high need for physical therapists out there. There's a high need for physical therapists in New York City, Atlanta, and the state of Florida. The problem is if you if you're in a city, it may make sense for you to relocate. Like people that relocate, they end up in better positions than local people. I mean, and what was the latter part of your question?
Who is getting the job and who's struggling most?
The ones that are struggling. Yeah, people whose resumes are not up to par. Um, they're struggling. I think it's them, and it depends also in the industry that you're working within, right? Um, there's some industries that just do better than others. Like there's a reason why my agency focuses on dentists, accountants, lawyers, physical therapists, and it's because those are high demand industries. Accountants are always needed. Lawyers are always needed. So are dentists, right? Um, But if you, for one, the other people that are suffering are people that are struggling. They're not working with recruiters. They're trying to do it on their own. Like you, at this particular market, you should be paying a recruiter that can do the reverse recruiting to help you to get a job. If you're struggling, if you sent out, like I told you that one guy sent out 300 resumes, he got 17 responses and then four interviews out of that. Those are like egregious numbers, right? So if you find yourself in a position like that, you're struggling, you should be working with some kind of recruiter or staffing agency in order to achieve some kind of employment.
Hmm. So tell me about reverse recruiting. I've heard about it, but I didn't see that in at least in tech industries, how that works.
Yeah, so essentially the way that recruiting works is the base way of recruiting is essentially a recruiter reaches out to you and they have a job opportunity or you apply, right? What reverse recruiting is essentially marketing you as an individual for your industry and using the contacts and relationships that I have as a recruiter, talent agent, and taking advantage of that. So, would mean I'm reaching out to you with opportunities, multiple opportunities, versus you applying for something and just not getting a call back or an email back. Using someone that does reverse recruiting, but reaching out to you with multiple opportunities, and you
Hmm.
can interview for all three of them.
Hmm.
And
So what?
depending on your industry, you might be able to work out all of them.
Okay. And as a reverse recruiter, do you apply for like any jobs like possible in the market for this specific candidate, or like is it like specifically in your agencies? Like how that
It would
works
just be in
for?
my agency. Yeah, it would be well, it would depend, right? If they come on and they hire us for that particular service, then we're gonna reach out to companies on their behalf.
Yeah, companies that you work with,
So
right?
we reach out to those companies instead of holding. It would well, if we're doing reverse recruiting and they're paying us for that service, we could start a search that is unique for them from scratch. And we just
Mm.
reach out to the company. We say, hey, we have this candidate, this an associate dentist. He's a periodontist, and I'm looking to see if you guys are looking to hire at this particular point, or we're doing a hiring wave in your market. We have a candidate that is interested in working for companies like yours. Are you open to working with a recruiting agency and interviewing our candidates?
Hmm. Do you work only with
Yeah.
that professionals, health professionals, or like with any professionals, like for example, tech?
So we don't have a focus on tech. Like we could recruit for anything. However, our niche is like I mentioned is with it's dental, legal, accounting, physical therapy. We fill sales positions as well. It's instead of being all across the board and then having to know all of those different variables in those industries, we like to stay focused on our core. And it just helps us to have the same type of conversations on a regular basis.
Hmm. Gotcha, gotcha. And how much do they pay? Like, do candidates pay for this service, like on average?
Yeah, so on average, I mean, anywhere between 500 and $2,000 max.
For what period of time?
So it's typically we do it in waves of 90 days. And it really just depends on exactly what it is that they're getting from us. Like, are we, doing their resume? Are we doing a cover letter for them? Are we revamping their LinkedIn page? Are they are we taking any video and using that as a marketing tool as well? So yeah, it really would just kind of depend, but typically it's going to be over a 90-day period.
But 500 for 90 days is like, it's nothing. I think it's looks like super cheap.
It's right. It's super inexpensive. Because there's still a thing of candidates, like there's a stigma when a recruiter charges a fee to a candidate. It's just like, oh, a recruiter shouldn't be charging a fee to anyone except the hiring company. But there's a lot of different ways of doing it. In this market, you're paying to get yourself where you need to be, right? Like which is in a seat, an employment seat. So again, it's definitely advantageous for a candidate to hire a reverse recruiter in order to do that because if you're having trouble securing employment, a recruiter is going to remove that issue. A reverse recruiter is going to remove
Hmm.
that issue. It's not going to be a problem anymore.
Hmm. Is it like a guarantee that the person will be hired like within these 90 days or how it works?
No, so there isn't a guarantee because the thing is you don't know how someone's going to interview, right? So it's just, it's you being in a position where you have opportunities in front of you that you didn't have before, and you have interviews that are pretty much lined up for you.
Hmm. So it's like a flat fee for the service and no guarantee that within these 90 days
Right.
this person gonna be followed. Okay. My last
Correct.
question, my last question is, what's your single biggest piece of advice for someone starting their job search today?
Be intentional. Be intentional about the opportunity that you want. Be very specific in that regard. And if you're going to apply for any jobs, make sure that they're in line with your experience, like roles that you've been able to achieve before or in different industries. Apply for those roles. Be innovative, right? Like use Chat GPT, use videos, right? I got a video from one person that I hired before, and she sent me a Loom video. She had done all her research on Sociable Society talent, and she was explaining our services and flawlessly. And she was, again, she sent the video. She was very detailed about how her experience, how she thinks her experience is relevant, what she would want to learn from working with us. And she would be, she asked for an interview, and then the other thing too is when you're interviewing, ask for the job, close
Who?
the deal.
Ask for the jobs, whom? To who?
So when you're interviewing, like when you go throughout the interview process, ask for the job, right? Like maybe ask them how many steps are in the interview process. And let's say they say it's three. On the third interview, ask for the job. Because they're gonna ask you, do you have any questions for me? Yes. Can I have the job?
I
Be
just
bold.
like I just don't understand that. Like ask for the job. Like I cannot understand that. Can you explain how to ask? Who should I ask for that? Like what questions should I ask? I don't know. I didn't get it.
Well, the person that's interviewing got you. So the person that's interviewing, right? You get to you again from the beginning. You want to know how many steps are in the interview process. So when you get to the third step and they're interviewing you, they're going to ask you at the end, "Do you have any questions?" And so one of the main questions that you want to ask is, "Do you have any reservations about me as far as being employed for this opportunity?" And if they say no, I don't have any reservations, then the next question should be, "So can I have the job?" Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a good that's a cool tip. Yeah. So, okay. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
John. That
Close the
was,
deal.
yeah. Thank you so much, John. That was a really nice conversation, very interesting. I hope it's helpful for everyone who watched by this part. And if you like this video, please thumb up and subscribe to the channel, subscribe for John, and follow us on LinkedIn. And good luck to anyone with their job search.
Absolutely.
Thank you, John. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.
Yes, I appreciate it. All right, bye-bye.